From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and it is time for the NFL Bet Exchange. And you know, I always got my co-host with me, the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we are ready to go ahead and give you guys those winners, man, because that's what we do. Even though last week, Jeff, we didn't do that great on the winners, Week 12 results, we both had 6-10 records. The funny thing is, the ones that you lost, I won, and the ones that I lost, you won. So it all works out. And the ones that we met in the middle at, we either lost together or we won together. So, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day.
You know, the NFL, you know, you could go out and do some yard work for 2.5 hours. You could go take the family out. You could do Christmas shopping, get your Christmas tree, have second, thirds of Thanksgiving dinner, whatever it is, and come back and just sit down and watch the fourth quarter. Again, this past week, the Jacksonville Jaguars come all the way back and tie it up and go for two. Cleveland comes all the way back, ties it up, and wins in overtime. The Chargers come back, and then they decide to go for two. So the NFL, I listen, for myself to be up 19 games over 500, for you to be up 12 games over 500, people would die to have these records. So, again, you got to tread lightly in the NFL. Teams are, if they're not tanking on purpose, they're making sure their stars are out. Wink, wink, they're hurt. I won't bring up the Rams, and Mr. Donald now all of a sudden is hurt, and you won't see Matt Stafford, you won't see Cooper Kupp, and there's a laundry list of teams doing the same thing. So you get in, you get out, and you move on.
And they called me crazy at the beginning of the year when I said the Rams wasn't going to be much of anything this year.
Oh, no. And listen, you know what? They fought their ass off for the cover last week, too. And then for some reason, McVay thought they were back in the game. And once they had the kid throw the ball around, 2 interceptions, their defense played great in the red zone. I think Mahomes was down there 6 times and got like 1 touchdown and 4 field goals or something stupid like that. So it is what it is, as you like to say. And it's week, 13? And we're ready.
Yep. All right, so you guys see it. I'm 80 and 68 and 3, and Jeff is 83, 64 and 2. So, you know, there goes them apples for you. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Thursday Night Football. We got the Bills and the Pats game that's close to you. Pats coming in here as a rare home dog, +5, and then it's an over-under 43.5 as well, too. Now, this is something that's peculiar to me. The Bills are actually only 5-5-1 against the spread this year. They've been a favorite in every single game this season, and I know that's something that really goes ahead and makes them look like they're, you know, one of those teams that you kind of are like, do I take them on the spread? Do I really rock with them? But I think the Bills are actually hitting their stride at this moment. But the Patriots are still a tough out. It just does not matter because who they have is their coach. You know what I mean? So we know that it's a tough out, and this is going to be a game that, you know, both teams have circled for the last month or so. But I truly do feel like when you go into this game, the Bills went through their little lag of, you know, not being where they were supposed to be, losing 2 games, kind of weird in a sense, you know, losing to a division rival, then losing in like the de facto like maybe possible Super Bowl preview with Minnesota, but not truly losing, but really just pretty much losing your head at the end. I really truly think that the Bills don't lose a game the rest of the season, to be honest with you, Jeff. And I think that they start with a dominant performance against these Patriots who made them suffer for so long. So I love them with the -5 on the road in this spot. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
You know, you were spot on. I think the only potential loss the Bills could have is Week 16 at Cincinnati. Kind kind of get a preview this week of the Cincinnati at home as a dog, which we'll get to against the Chiefs there. Bills have been winning, as you said, not covering. Patriots, good effort in Minnesota, just fell short. This has 24-20 written all over it. I think the Pats, this is Custard's last stands. They need the win desperately. I don't think they're going to get the win. I think they get the cover here, Pop. So we're going to take the 5 here with the Patriots on Thursday night.
All right. So let's go ahead and move into our next game. This one is going to be the Steelers and the Falcons. Steelers and Falcons are, this game is kind of like another under the radar situation, but let's just go ahead and keep it real. Atlanta has literally finally hit the wall. Okay. Atlanta started off the season and they were an even team, even all year. They had a remarkable run the first 6 weeks, 6-0 against the spread. I looked in the numbers today, Jeff. They're now 7-4 against the spread. 7-4-1, I think, to be exact. No, 7-5. That means they dropped their last 5 out of 6 in that spot. So they're not a guaranteed cover team for you anymore. And it seems that they play a close game every single week. That's one thing that Atlanta gives you a good option on. But they have dropped their last 4 out of 6 games as well, too, after that kind of good start to the season when they were 3-3. So they've only won 2 games. They've lost 4 since that point. So 5, actually. I'm sorry. They were 3-3, so they lost 4. So they're 2-4 since that time. And this Pittsburgh game is probably one of the games that you look at that they could possibly be their last win of the season. But I have to go ahead and stay on the Steelers. The Steelers took care of us last night. They've actually won their last 2 out of 3 coming out of the bye as well, too. And every game that they were in was hard fought and very good for them. And they lost to Cincinnati in this situation. So it looks like they're giving teams that aren't that good, teams with losing records, a hard time at this point now. And I know that they're not as good on the road as they are at home with the wins that they've had this season. But I think when it comes down to this game, I just trust Mike Tomlin in December. It's gonna be December 4th come Sunday? Yep. So I totally trust Mike Tomlin in December. That's why I'm going to go ahead and take the Steelers with the plus 105.
I like where your head is. I was so disappointed Sunday for the ECSI VIPs. Our NFL selection was Atlanta plus 4.5 and Atlanta on the money line. They had first and goal from the 4. Washington out of timeouts, and they were running the crap out of the ball, and they decided to pull a Seattle and Patriots Super Bowl, and he threw the ball down there, deflected, interception. They hold them on 3 plays. They go to punt, and they run into the kicker. Thanks for playing. I'm going to go back to the well here. Pittsburgh, great cover, great win for us yesterday. Short week heading back to Atlanta now. I think it'll be a hard-fought game, and again, too, I give the edge to Tomlin. Najee Harris left the game. I don't know if he'll be playing. Benny Snell came in. Hard-fought game. I think Atlanta gets them at the wire, but it's definitely a coin toss, Pops.
All right. And there it is. Okay, so we have our next game coming up, and that's going to be this one right here. It's going to be it's one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL, the Packers and the Bears. Curly's gang against Hallis's boys. So, I should get to the real names of these teams. What were they? The Steamers? Something that is the Steamers before they were the Green Bay Packers or something like that. But I'm looking at the Packers and they're awful. 3-1, Jeff. 3-1 at one point this season. Cruising easily. Then just things, they went to Europe and things have just got bad since then. And peep this, Jeff. This team is 1-7 since that point, with a nice little lucky win against the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say lucky, but they own the Cowboys, so it is what it is, man. So that kind of cancels it out. But now they're running into another team that they own somewhat. But it's a different day, but they luck up because if you're Chicago, Justin Fields ain't playing for the rest of the season. Just torn ligaments in the shoulder. You don't have a chance of making the playoffs. Why risk him? Why? So I truly do think the Bears showed some potential of what the future can be if Justin Fields is able to get some playmakers around him. This is the number one rushing team in the NFL, but they're one of the worst defensive teams in the NFL. So, if the Bears had a better defense, the Bears will probably be in better position right now. But we can both say that the Bears have had a tough schedule this year as well, too. Their schedule still calls for them to be like a 5-5 team if they were somewhat good. So I think that this is a week where I hate to say it, even though they've been burning money, and I said on this show, if they keep burning my money, I'm not going to take them anymore. I didn't say that last week. And then see me again being desperate, being just like one of those over at Ellis Island on a Saturday night, looking for a winner. And what do I see? I see the Packers playing the Bears. So I guess I'll take the Packers. Even though I keep saying I'm not going to take the Packers this week, I'm going to take the Packers with the minus 155. I just can't do anything with the Bears now.
It's funny. Rogers was just on the McAfee show. He said that the scans came back positive for him, meaning good news. The line has gone from 3 to 4. You talked about Justin Fields. We bought the hook. We took the Bears to plus 3.5. A Packer team that is out of it. Minnesota wins this week. Lions lose. Minnesota already wins the division. I don't know why Rodgers would even come back out and play, other than the fact maybe if Jordan Love does come and do well, maybe that will force his hand into a retirement, or I'm hearing Broncos. I'm hearing all kinds of BS. It is what it is. We took the Bears plus the 3.5. Do I like it? No. Does Rodgers come back and play Sunday? It looks like he's trending that way. We'll just grin and bear it. And if the Packers do win, we hope it's by 3 or less.
I'm going to be dead honest with you. Jack. This is what's going to happen with Rodgers. If he doesn't retire, he's headed to the Rams. Think about that.
Well, either that, the 49ers, or Denver can get out with like a $30 million cap, and they fire Hackett and they cut Russ loose. Something's up there. I mean, hey, you gave it a shot. If you can bring Rodgers in and try it with Rodgers, that might even be the move. That was their first one, was Rodgers, and then he decided to stay, and so they went for Russell. No, I like it. L.A., San Fran, Denver. I got a gut feeling he might not be playing for the Packers next year.
Right, but then I have another feeling that just says, wrap it up, Aaron. Because I think that possibly he might be one of the stories in the NFL that everybody's kind of tired of. I mean, he's a guy that does a lot of things that get unchecked, and he's just not a likable guy at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I think that we can all move on from him at this point,
I agree. He's got that smug look. It's time to move on, in my opinion.
Right. I said I've never seen a quarterback from Cal that cocky.
I agree.
And it's funny. It's like Jared Goff possibly has done the same things in the first 6 years of his career that Rodgers did, but he had to play for a coach that's an egomaniac in L.A. with McVay, and he had to play for a coach that was the worst coach. It was the losingest coach of all time in the NFL, most losses in the NFL. And then he goes to Detroit, and everybody was, oh, he's just going to be so bad in Detroit. they're gonna get rid of him right away. He's going to be benched by the second game. He throws for 4,500 yards. And their offense is seen as is a top 10 offense. They come out this year, and they're playing great football. They're playing great offensive football again. He's getting monster stats again. What was the problem again? Sorry, y'all, I had to put the mic on mute real quick. Was coughing a little bit, but let's talk about Jags and Lions. You got 4-7 going against 4-7. These teams are really actually playing their best football of the year right now. Lions were literally seconds away from going 4-0. I mean, winning 4 in a row for the first time in like 30 years. And then you have a Jaguars team that just got done beating a very good Ravens team, but won their last 2 out of 3 after struggling for a while there, Jeff. They struggled for a while. The Jaguars, but the Jaguars always kept games close. The Lions kept games close all season. So they really deserve to where they're at because they played hard. These are two teams that people really like in the NFL when it comes to teams that aren't that great, but they really try. I really do feel like this is going to be a statement game for the Lions. The Lions are playing really good football as a team. Let's just keep it real. The defense is finally getting it, and the offense has been clicking. They've been doing it. So I truly do feel that I know I'm going a little crazy, but I'm going to take the Lions this week. And you know I never have luck with the Lions, so I'm going to take them this week, Jeff.
It's so funny when I saw your plays. I'm going to go opposite here just because maybe the Jaguars comeback win. It looked like maybe, just maybe, Trevor Lawrence saw something. Reports that I have on ETN is that he could have came back and they left him on the bench for the second half. Agnew was doing fine. Hasty was doing fine. It's going to be a fun game. One of the funner games on the card. Lions playing great football. I'm glad for Campbell. I'm glad for them. And you know what? They played their ass off on on Thanksgiving Day, right there with the Bills. Had an opportunity to force overtime, and Josh Allen comes down and they get the field goal. I think a hard-fought battle. Who has the ball last wins this one. We're going to take a swing here with the Jags plus the 1.5 pups.
Hey, there it is. You guys, the Jags 1.5. This was a tough call because I like the Jags coming into this game as well, too. I just feel like the Lions have been playing really good football over this last month. And easily, if they would have been able to get that win last Thursday, things changed a little bit with the Lions. Just a little bit. You know what I mean? Because then you can start talking a little playoffs. But they're going to have to wait for that, even though they do have help on the way at Jameson Williams as well, too. So with that means that that's our 4th game. So that means that we're going on our first break. So when we get back, we got more early games to talk about. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, here goes a game that a lot will probably, you know what? If the Jets were better, it would probably be considered a game of the week type of situation. They probably would have been able to shift into that Sunday night football situation a little bit as well. But then I looked at Sunday night football and said, that this game needs to get flexed out. Colts and Cowboys, but then I said, it's the Cowboys. Don't never flex the Cowboys. Jerry would literally sue the NFL if they did that. I don't know, Jerry. They might not be doing too many more favors for you, buddy. With Christian tweaking out like that. But come on, guys. It was what, 1952 or something like that? 60. What do you expect? He's from the South. You know what I mean? He's from the South. And he's from he's from that time. So I don't know why y'all surprised by that, but this is not what this show is about. I'll leave that to Skip and Shannon. They haven't talked about it either. Skip ain't gonna talk about it. He ain't gonna talk about Jerry.
No.
Daddy Jerry. What I mean? I swear, Skip might as I don't know why Skip just don't work for their team. Seriously, why is he not in the front office picking players? All right, but we Jets Vikings right now. We Jets Vikings, and hold on, man, my bad. Well, we're in a whole different game. All right, so you got the Jets. Probably the most. I don't know. I've never seen a team this below average be 7-4, Jeff. They're great defense. I'll give them it. Offense. It seems like their offense takes advantage of bad teams. And then they do enough to out-hustle teams in a lot of these wins that they have. But I think that they caught a lot of teams on a bad week, like last week with the Bears. If you have Fields in that game, the Jets lose. I'm going to be dead honest with you. They lose, and they lose big. And Mike White is good, but he did this last time where he comes out. Nobody expected Mike White to be good. Mike White comes out, has a big day, then comes back the next week, is absolutely awful. So it's hard for me to get into the Jets being a playoff team, Jeff, to be honest with you. Is it a great story? Yes, it is, because it was so many years where the Jets were just not a good team. And Salah is the right coach. He is the perfect coach for this situation because they're building this the right way. But this is the only thing I'm going to say before I unveil my pick. I just didn't feel like the move with Wilson was very professional. I know I'm going to get some flack from you for that. But when you draft somebody second and they're 5-2, and then they kind of get a little nervous in front of the media when they're answering questions. They're not so trained. That's what you really got to do with these top picks. Is train them, is learn, especially when you're in New York. So I think that the publicists and all those people kind of failed to really school him on how to handle New York media. But I don't think that it warranted enough for him to get benched, because I felt like him getting benched wasn't the coach's decision. It was the media's decision. It was the talking heads' decision that they felt like he needed to learn a lesson. So I didn't like that. I think that's just stupid. The guy's winning, and that messes up a little bit of the chemistry that you got going on. Yeah, it didn't affect anything this week because you got the hapless Bears. But moving forward for the rest of the season, I possibly only see this team winning one game. And Minnesota is probably the most underrated team in the NFL, period, point blank, right now. A lot of people are still sleeping on Minnesota, and that win over the Patriots should have proved to everybody that they're legit, they're for real, and you need to watch out for them. They're not. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl team yet, but they look good. And 9-2, you're not 9, and you're not gonna have this record to be this good without being good. And I know after that Cowboys loss, it's pretty much put them in position to really focus even harder in these games. So I like the Vikings this week as a money line play. I know that they'll probably beat them by double digits, but I'll take them on the money line.
Pops, I started the campaign with the Kirk Cousins for MVP with 4,000 plus 4,000. I love Justin Jefferson. I think Dalvin Cook's one of the better backs. Defensively, they're good. I thought that the Vikings plus 220 to win the division before the season started was the play. Just been flying under the radar and not getting enough respect. And the fact, of course, that when Kirk Cousins is on prime time, he usually blows up like a wood tick. Well, he won on Thanksgiving. Now, everyone's waiting for them to come back down to earth. They beat the Patriots on a 2.5 point spread. Now it's 3.5 again. What happened at the quarterback situation was more of Salas taking control of the locker room. This is a young kid who's wet behind the ears. Yes, he was drafted number 2. But listen, you cannot put yourself in front of the team here. You're not Joe Burrow right now, and who took his team to the Super Bowl. So it'll be interesting to see who starts this week, because you're spot on. Again, you don't have tape on one guy. He comes out, he has a great week. Well, now you got tape on him, and the Vikings are sitting there licking their chops. We bought the hook. We took them plus 3.5 here. It's more of a Jets sense of urgency versus the Vikings. Listen, I can see the Vikings winning by 7. The matchup of the day will be Justin Jefferson versus Sauce Gardner. Gardner's had an amazing year. He's one of the better cornerbacks. I'm not calling him Revis Island just yet, but he's done very well against top wide receivers. I think a hard-fought, close game here. I'm trying to see what we have for a total here for you, Pops. They got a 45.5, 46. It opened at 42. Again, one of those 24-20 games somewhere in there is what we're seeing. Hopefully plus 3.5 will be enough for the Jets.
Right, and Sauce Gardner is a big man, period, point blank. I was at the draft back in April, and I was actually 2 feet away from him, and the guy, they were like, that's Sauce Gardner. I said, that can't be Sauce Gardner, because that's that might got to be one of the wide receivers or one of the linebackers or something. That ain't no cornerback. Because I've met NFL cornerbacks, they're Jeff's height. No, you know what I mean, but they're not big people a lot of times. But it's all good. It is what it is. But we have the Commanders and the Giants, and Giants have just been. It's crazy how it's the tale of two teams right now in this situation. You have a Giants team that start the season off 6-1, and everybody's the ball. The Ball's coach of the year, and the Giants are the best things since sliced bread, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it seems like the moment they started getting really good, somebody named OBJ said, man, I want to go back to the Giants. And then all of a sudden, they started playing really bad football after that. But don't worry. This was bound to happen. The Giants were really playing with house money. Let's keep it real. Let just real quick, I'm gonna go through the Giants. What the Giants were seeing when they were 7-2 and 6-1. The Giants played Tennessee. Okay, that's a quality win. Carolina, that was a 50-50 situation. The one game where they could have proved themselves their mettle, and they thought they were officially back. They were 2-0 going into the game. They absolutely get took to the woodshed by the Cowboys. Even though the game looks like it was close, it wasn't. After the second half, after we got to a certain point in the game, Dallas took over and won the game. Then, okay, they beat Chicago. They beat Green Bay. That was another good win, but they beat Green Bay on the other side of the pond. Then they get a good one against Baltimore, but Baltimore is a shaky team. We both know this, Jeff. It's just something about Baltimore. Come on, they say the Baltimore could be 9-2 right now, and they've blown 2 games. Like literally, just really, they should be 10-1 because they've blown so many games this season. Where it's like, dude, what are y'all doing? They haven't been blown out by anybody. Then you got Jacksonville, which was a game that they had to literally. They literally had to fight it out. So my point is, all these games were really close. They blew nobody out, okay? And the last time they got a win was against Houston. Other than that, Seattle lost by double digits. Detroit lost by double digits. And then they just lost to Dallas, and Dallas literally smoked them in the second half. That was a garbage touchdown at the end. So the Giants losing their last 3 out of 4, It's no surprise to me at all, Jeff. They had a great start to the season, but I knew the moment they went on their bye week, it was going to get different because they were going to start getting a little bit more hype, a little bit more attention. Now you see where they're sitting at. Now we got the Commanders, a team that was already written off after this, fifth week or so, Jeff? Then they go off and they piled up the last 6 out of 7. That's a Ron Rivera team right there. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And the moment they got it on was the moment that Carson Wentz went to whatever he needed to go to being hurt. Because he's hurt all the time. And it seems like for the third time, the backup has outplayed him. So I feel like you have to go with the hot team right here. The hot hand, and that's the Commanders. They are playing some phenomenal football right now. It's not exciting in a sense to where they're a big-time offense, but they do everything in a grinder fashion. So you know that it's going to be a grind-out type of game. But I think that this game really does go to the Commanders' favor because they're playing a very confident game, and Chase Young is going to be making his debut as well, too. So I like the Commanders here.
ECSI always talks about trusting the opening line. And this is a Giants team that record-wise is better than the Commanders. They're at home, yet the Commanders opened up 1-point favorites. Now they're 2.5-point favorites. It's all we needed to see. The Commanders got us last week, and unfortunately, we're going to go back to them, and we're going to take them on the money line minus 140. Listen, this is as big of a game for the Commanders as big as the Giants, meaning the Giants can basically pop the bubble of the Commanders and say, hey, all right, guys, nice run. It's over. And the Giants actually need this just as desperately as Washington, because if Washington wins this one and Giants lose, look out, because we know Dallas and Eagles are already on top of the East, and here come the Commanders, and then the Giants could be that fourth place team where a few weeks ago they were tied for first and, singing Kumbaya, chasing the Eagles. So we're going to take the Commanders minus the 140. Heineke win the turnover battle. You got Chase Young. Let's get a pick six or something. Get Gibson going. Brian Robinson running the heck out of the ball. The re-emergence, I should say, of my buddy, Mr. Terry McLaurin. I like the Commanders in a hard-fought battle here, under over a 40-41. I see a nice, 23-17 win by the Commanders.
I heard that. And, man, let me tell you something real quick about E-Team before we go up. He's on my fantasy team, right?
Yeah, me too.
And literally, I got spotted 80 points because I got Josh Allen, St. Brown, Jamal Williams. They all did some things for me on Thursday. Why is it that my silly self has Miles Sanders set up to start, but Etienne's on the bench because they was on the bye the week before? Etienne's been tearing it up the last few weeks. So I said, I got to start him, right? I start him. Miles Sanders goes for 31 points on Sunday night.
Yep.
Etienne gets 0.3.
Yep.
I wind up losing that game, my game last night, by 7. Because this guy got Fearmouth and Taylor going into Monday Night Football. Now, if I got my 31 points there, I actually beat him by 20.
Yep.
Fantasy football. But it's okay. I'm still 10-2 on the season. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. All right. But let's move on. We got ourselves a good one with the Titans and the Eagles. This is the game that should be on Sunday Night Football, Jeff. But these teams, Tennessee is just not box office. We both know that. Not since the McNair Eddie George days. Yeah, they were popular then. Because I know my mother was a big fan of the Titans. Even though she's not a natural Titans fan, she loved her some Eddie George. So the Titans were always like, when I was getting out of high school and everything, they were a pretty good team at that point. So, everybody used to love watching some Tennessee Titans in them boring 7-6 games they used to play against the Steelers and Ravens. I swear those games had no offense to them. Just straight up defense, punch you in the face, run 3 yards, cloud of dust. The good old days. You kids don't know. You kids would hate football if you had to watch a game like that. And you know, these big home run bomb touchdowns that we see all the time, you would only get those once in a while. Like, you really had to play some bad. You really had to slip and fall to get one of those. So we got the Titans, we got the Eagles. So Titans coming in here 7-4. You got the Eagles 10-1. Titans fresh off of a loss. And the Titans are a team that when they come fresh off of a loss, they do kind of get you in the right mood because they seem to always be inspired. But this Titan team, when the world goes too heavy on them, that's when they mess you up. And I think that's where I was at last Sunday that, they're playing such good football right now. They're dominating teams. Come on, man. I'm looking at who they played. Those 3 wins that they have, 3 out of 5, they've won their last 3 out of 5. But 3 of those wins came against Houston, Denver, and Green Bay. So it goes back to schedule, Jeff. You know what I mean? And I feel like after they came out the bye, they're 4-2, right? But they beat Indy, Houston, and Denver and Green Bay. They've lost to all the teams that mean something here. You know, every team that's in the playoff race that they played this year, they lost to. So that is where I know the odds makers put their head at, is that they are not good against playoff caliber teams this season, right? But this is the type of game where they match up perfectly with the Eagles. And this reminds me a little bit of a few years ago when they played the Ravens in the playoffs with Lamar. So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and make them my dog bet of the week because the Eagles are still playing with house money, in my opinion. They're good, but they're not going to have the greatest December. I'm letting you know that right now, Jeff, because everybody's going to look at them as their for sure winner. And you don't do that when the teams are front running September, October, November. December, when they have an idea that they're going to make the playoffs, they start slowing it down a little bit. And I think that the Eagles are going to run into a buzzsaw here. I love the plus 200 on the Titans money line, and that's going to be the good news only. Dog bet of the week.
I'm looking at an opening line of 6. It's gone to 5.5 now, flat 5s. It could even dip to 4.5. Again, we're waiting for the Eagles shoe to drop off. I was in that predicament where usually in fantasy, I got so many wide receivers and not enough running backs. Well, I have 2 teams with like 4 or 5 starting running backs. And Miles Sanders, I've been playing every week. Debated to pull him out, and I was like, man, I didn't like the way he was getting the ball the week before. It's a primetime game, just plug and play. Big week for him. Jalen Hurts runs for 170. I mean, they ran for almost 400 yards. But with that said, I think Tennessee tries to play that game of keep away. I don't see Tannehill throwing the ball 25, 30 times here. They need O'Henry, and O'Henry some more. We bought the hook. We got the Titans plus 6. I love where your eyes are. I definitely think the Titans can win this one outright as well.
All right, so we have a team in the Broncos who have just been a money burner all year as well. And the Ravens who have been, what are they doing? You know what I mean? But I think that this week, the Ravens finally do have a spot where they can be like, all right, we can take it easy, but they're not going to take it easy. But I think what happens here is after seeing what was going on the sideline with the Broncos, with Russ Wilson having a little bit of a, he didn't say anything, but the lineman was pretty pissed off when he got to the sideline. And I think that it was more about, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? Because they had made a big play. But there, like you said, Jeff, there's a lot going on in Denver right now. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people want to always go to what's going on off the field. I think Russell Wilson just is an old player. And I think a lot of his talent got played out in Seattle. It happens. It happens, Jeff. We've seen this happen with several really great players over their time in the NFL. Shit, it happened to Joe Flacco, in a sense, going to Denver. You know, I don't think it's Russ. I think it's Denver, to be honest with you. It's because it's a Lily organization. You know what I mean? They're a type of, you know, they're like a good frappuccino. You know what I mean? And so they're a little finesse with it. You know what I mean? They're not as you know, thuggery as the Raiders, or as, you know, very, you know, pristine as the Chiefs and things like that. You know, they're kind of a happy-go-lucky type situation. I think that it's difficult though this year for Broncos fans because they felt like they had everything in place. You know what I mean? They finally got a quarterback that had a big name. It was like bringing in Peyton somewhat because of his accolades. You know what I mean? They had been dealing with a really bad quarterback run for a while. You hear? And they felt like we got a good enough defense, we got a good enough run game. All we need is a great game manager, and Russell Wilson can be that guy. And we both know that Nathaniel Hackett had no business being hired as a head coach. He wasn't even a good coordinator. So, you know, it just goes to show you when you have ties to the league and your daddy was in coaching for 40 years in the league, because Paul Hackett was a decent coach. He wasn't great, but he just was around for a long time. And he had a big name. He coached for teams like the Raiders, SC. So you get this idea he's really it's something you're getting something special when you're really not. You know what I mean? And I just truly feel like this is what happens when you keep hiring these entitled people. They don't need to be the coach because their daddy was a coach for 50 years in the league. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily warrant them to be a great head coach. They keep jumping the line and they keep getting the same results, Jeff. You know what I mean? Shanahan lucked up because it was the 49ers, in my opinion. McVay lucked up because it's the Rams. You had owners that was willing to pay money for what you wanted. You know what I mean? He came in with a good, fresh idea. You really did your work. You really did your homework. But guys like Nathaniel Hackett and everything like that, they got carried by Russell Wilson and the great Seattle Seahawks offenses and things like that. You know what I mean? So they're not great coaches. They're just bodies that are on the sideline. And it's showing up right now as him as the head coach of this team. But I'm going to go ahead and take him again this week because the Ravens just can't be trusted, Jeff. They just can't be trusted. Because they just, I don't know. It seems like they don't want to win games just to win games. They just want to always make it a very headache situation. So I'm going to take the Broncos on the cover, but I say the Ravens win the game.
No, I love where your head is here. I just, you know, I blame the coach. They had that game and they go to prevent defense. And it was sad. It was really sad. They allow them basically, in a nutshell, they had the game won and they allow them back in. And listen, Lamar has been awful the last 6 weeks playing for a contract. But the funny thing is that Baltimore wants to keep him. They can franchise him. He'll make $45 million. They can franchise him again, make another $45 million. So with that said, the Denver can't score against you and I, Pops, and it's pathetic what's going on there. Ravens should call their score. The under over here comically is 38.5, 39. If Denver scores more than 10 points, it ought to be an investigation. This is Ravens by 1 million, but you know how the NFL works, so they'll figure a way to make it close. But Ravens call their shots, and this is a get well spot, and there's no excuses, zero excuses here not to win by double digits, not to be up 24-3 at halftime.
I got you, Jeff. But I'm just looking at the game they just played against Carolina and won that one 13, that stinker 13-3, the Ravens. And I'm just thinking to myself, we probably gonna have the same exact game where Denver's gonna play some really great defense, and it's gonna keep is in the Ravens will probably win, but they're gonna wind up not covering. That's just how I feel in the spot. But you're onto something good because really this is a good test for the Ravens. Are you anybody? Are you anybody that we can really be concerned about later on in the year? You know, because you can make the playoffs and everything and be formally put out. It's that simple. You know what I mean? So you're right, Jeff, because it's not like the old days for the Ravens in this situation. You don't have the walk with me defense to where it's going to help Lamar, where Lamar just throws up 24 and the defense got the rest. Ray Lewis would have loved to have Lamar Jackson because at least he scores points. You know what I mean? Because I just remember those early years with the Ravens, man. They really won games so ugly. I ain't never seen a team win so many 13-10 games in my life. Seriously, 10-7 games in my life. And it would seem like it was weekly for the Ravens, to be honest with you. But they don't have that type of defense anymore. That was proven in that Miami game. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break. And when we do get back, we have the late games coming up, but we got one more early game to talk about. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. And man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I got my man Jeff Dawson representing the East Coast with me down in Cape Cod, so you guys know. And yep.
Hey, hey, Pops, shout out to my UConn Huskies basketball team. I just got to give them 30 seconds of props here. They played no one to start the year, and then they go out west and they beat Oregon by 28. They beat Alabama by 15. Then they beat Iowa State by 13, and now the number 8 team in the country. So I had to just give them a little shout out.
Well, you know, we're going to have to get into some talking, some college basketball whenever you want me to let me on one of your 6 shows. So, you know.
We got to get back to our Friday nights. Those were the fun days.
All right. I was planning on doing something like that, bringing back Hoops 101 and stuff like that, but dedicated strictly to college basketball. So, you know, because college basketball we need to dedicate something strictly to college basketball. I think that influxing the NBA and everything like that is not a good idea, because what happens is that they're 2 different games now. The NBA is more about show and tell, and you know, what are we doing off the court? College basketball is still about everything that goes on the court. It's simple. And even when somebody gets in trouble in college basketball, you don't ever hear the story of what happened. They're just off the team. You know what I mean? Because you don't want that distraction. You know what I mean? You just don't. And you don't. And coaches have a little bit more of a generalship in that situation than they do in the NBA. The NBA is really ran by the players, and that's why the product is starting to suffer a lot. You know what I mean? So, because I can't believe a coach has to really, really try to make sure a player's happy with what they're doing most of the time. I'm just like, geez Louise, LeBron, you made this so bad on coaches, dude, because you're not coachable. He's coachable in a sense to where he's not going to make the coach look stupid, but he's uncoachable in a sense to where he doesn't just let the coach do their part. You know what I mean? And he always has to include himself into every situation, and I think that's just a bad look for the NBA because Jordan and Magic used to do it too, but they didn't do it so openly. You know what I mean? LeBron does it as well. I made this decision, so we're gonna go here, and it's just like I don't know about all that. And I know that you need to get your defense a little bit better too, buddy. I know you're 38 or whatever, but geez, Louise, seems like everybody makes a game-winning shot on you now. That's the 5th one I've seen this year on LeBron. I promise you that. All right, so let me hurry up because Jeff said I got to hurry up. So pretty much, yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Sorry.
Listen, the RMV, I waited 3 months. Unfortunately,
I got
it's
you.
on a Tuesday. I apologize.
I got you. We moving. We're not taking another break either. All right, Browns, Texans. This one is really easy, Jeff. We know that what's going to happen here. Deshaun Watson is going to go out here and open up a can. All right, they're going to win this game by 20 points or better. And I know it sounds crazy, and I think that I'm being overzealous. But when you take my money away, like the Texans took his money away, I'm going to make you pay. I'm going to make you pay. You know what I mean? It took 2 years of my NFL life from me because I said I didn't want to play for y'all no more. We all know the Texans set all that whole situation up. If he still would have stayed with the Texans, we would have never heard from these women. It seemed like they sent them all out one by one. Remember that was one we hired? So, Jeff, I'm gonna be real simple here. Browns by 1 million. Let's go.
Line opened at 6.5, already to 7.5. Listen, Roger Goodell and the NFL did him wrong here. He sits out for the 11 games, comes back. He's got to go play to Houston. We bought the hook. We took the the Browns minus 6.5, coming off a big emotional win. Brissett got them. Hey, listen, he had a handful of games that they lost late, and big win for them. I think they take the momentum. I think they take Watson, who hasn't really played a game in 2 years, so could be a little rusty. I'm following you. Browns by 1 million.
Man, because if it's me, I'm trying to do everything possible to beat up on them Texans, man. No offense to the city of Houston, but I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do I got to make sure your front office understands that you don't hold nobody's career up like that.
Understood.
And your team isn't relevant enough to do that. I'd have understood if it was the Cowboys. I'd have understood if it was the Raiders. I would have understood. Well, the Raiders, they would have still let you play, but But I can understand if you one of the top tier franchises all time of the NFL, but you have to understand the Texans are still bottom of the food chain when it comes to NFL anything. So it is what it is, man. Seahawks, Rams. This used to be a big game. It's not a big game anymore. Rams absolutely terrible against the spread this year. 2-7-2, Jeff. This year, 2-7-2, and it's just not getting better for the Rams at all. It's not getting better at all for the Rams. And I just really, truly do feel that. Okay. But I truly do feel that the Rams coming into this one, they are bad. They're terrible right now. And I think that they know that they're terrible right now. And they just want to get this season over with. Aaron Donald's already talked about he's hurt. And Aaron Donald don't ever say he's hurt. What else? You got the guy that I said don't overspend for, and they still did it. Matt Stafford. You know what I mean? How you feel now, McVay? You want to go over here and teach lessons because a guy accidentally had his third mind open up. Because I don't care what anybody says. McVay had a personal issue with Goff. It wasn't about gameplay, Jeff. You know what I mean? It seemed little, but you seen how fine that man's wife is. And he said and the way he said it in that damn group chat, he could have took your woman. So that's why he had to go. Because he's the star quarterback. You ain't nothing but a coach. You know what I mean? So he had to go. And I don't like to get messy like that either, Jeff. But the writing's on the wall with that situation. But all in all, though, I do like the Rams in this game to cover because they just got to still sell season tickets, Jeff. And I think if they mess this one up, they'll have a half the filled stadium. This is like the last week where people are going to show up for a game. So I think they're going to have to win or somewhat try to win. So I like them with the +8 this week. And this is the last time I'm taking them if they get smoked.
No, I agree. We had them plus 14.5 last week, and they did everything to cover. Those 2 late picks cost us a line that opened at 4.5 has immediately been corrected to 8. Donald now probably will be done for the season. Cooper Kupp done for the season. Matt Stafford done for the season. Allen Robinson done for the season. Writing's on the wall. Unfortunately, they don't have a first-round pick. The Lions has their first-round pick. I am the same exact boat as you. I'm taking them plus the 8. Maybe Geno struggles. This Seattle team playing pretty damn good right now. They get walked off. Josh Jacobs ran combined for 300 yards last week against Seattle between rushing and receiving. Maybe they have a hangover there. Take the Rams plus the 8 and pray here, Pops.
And you didn't even mention it, Jeff, the 86-yard walk-off. That was absolutely amazing. And that right there might turn around the whole Raiders season right there. I know I sound crazy right now, but it possibly could. But I know Jeff is giving me that face. McDaniels.
It is what it is, Pops. Mr. 702, I call him now.
Mr. 702. It's all good because Vegas will let him know if he's messing up. You know that. But Vegas people, though, they're not like a Philly sports fan or a Chicago sports fan or even a Cleveland sports fan, because Cleveland sports fan will stop a player or a coach in the grocery store and have explain to them why their scheme is wrong, why they're doing this wrong, and they know this because they were a high school all-city player. You know, they played over at St. Ignatius, so they know that you're not doing this thing right.
100%.
They played at McKinley High, so they know you're not doing this thing right. All right, so we got Dolphins and 49ers. This is really the game of the week. This should have got boost. This has way more storyline than Colts Cowboys. Colts Cowboys has no storyline. Let's keep it real, Jeff. Like Sunday Night Football. Are we supposed to have storylines to Sunday Night Football? Like, what are we talking about for Sunday Night Football this week? Like Colts, they're terrible. Cowboys, they're really good. Here goes another square win for the Cowboys. So Skip can be like, they're going to the Super Bowl. All right. I'm going to be dead honest with you. The trash talking has already begun between these two, but let's keep it real. Last time they played, Jeff, I remember the last time the Dolphins and 49ers played, and it was not too long ago. The 49ers got absolutely demolished that day and were a monster favorite. Jimmy G was playing that. Literally everybody on that roster was in that game right now. So I love the Dolphins going into this one plus 3.5. And I say bet a money line as well, too, because the Niners got to get brought back down to earth real quick. Because they look good, but are they really that good? We're going to see. Because they've been feasting on bad teams lately, Jeff, and still not scoring any points. Well, they did get 38 against Arizona, but everybody's getting a lot of points against Arizona. You know
that. This San Fran defense is getting healthier. This is the team I think is coming out of the NFC. With that said, their offense is, again, struggling. They just can't score inside the 5, inside the 7. Shanahan's got too many toys. Well, now he doesn't because Elijah Mitchell up for another 4 weeks to 6 weeks. Thanks for playing. CMC knee issues. So now they bring in the rookie back, Pierce back. You need to start leaning on Debo to start rushing the ball more. Their offense needs to pick up the pace in the next 4 to 6 weeks if they're going to have that magical run. Listen, if I was to do a dog of the day, this would be my dog of the day. We took the hook. We got Dolphins +4. Listen, I think the Dolphins are dangerous as hell. I would not be shocked to see them put up 24-27 and walk out of there with a victory as well.
And another thing is, a lot of people won't say this, but they are the number 2 ranked team when it comes to passing.
Yep.
That's absolutely incredible for all you quarterback coaches that was really laughing at Tua when he made that little throw in practice. I said, you guys are so cute when you guys want to get on a professional player. They make mistakes, so many mistakes in practice that you guys don't see. And then, when they get the one mistake, everybody thinks that this is the actual product that you're getting. I'm like, hold on. We all know Tua can throw. Let's just go ahead and rewind the tape back to that national championship game that burnt up a whole lot of money. I'm still mad at Georgia. I'm still mad at you, Georgia. And me and you got to get a talk about this CFP as well too, Jeff. They got a lot of crazy things going on with the CFP, and and you see now the Big Ten is over here giving out the big check because literally they're gonna sneak Ohio State into this thing. Watch this. If you get TCU, USC losing this weekend, they're sneaking them back in.
No, I finally am on the train. The 3 undefeated teams, Georgia, Michigan, TCU are in. They're the 3 undefeated. I was waiting for TCU to lose to Texas. I was waiting for TCU to lose to Baylor. Undefeated, they deserve it. Those 3 are gifted with a championship game with all the other people sitting outside waiting. So those 3 in my eyes are in. Now USC wins, they're in. So you get 4 conferences, SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, and Big 12. Okay, they're in. Now, USC loses. We'll know tonight if Ohio State is ahead of Alabama or Alabama's ahead of Ohio State. If USC loses, whoever's sitting there at 5, whether it's Ohio State or Alabama, they will be in.
And riddle me this. What if Michigan loses?
Oh, they're in. They put an ass whooping on Ohio State. Ohio State.
Let's not say whooping. Let's just
whooping. They put an ass whooping.
The game was pretty close, and then it got a little out of hand. Let's not act like they was whooping them the whole game.
They quit in the fourth quarter. They quit.
Yeah, well, they didn't necessarily quit, but it is what it is at the end of the day, man. They won. All right, so we got the Chargers and the Raiders. And it's funny because everybody want to get to talking about ass whoopings, and every time Ohio State beats them by 30, oh man, Michigan's just not a good team. Michigan's just not a good team. Michigan gets a little win. Oh my God, Michigan is the greatest in sliced bread. Oh my God, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life.
I'm gonna just say this. I'm just gonna say this in all honesty. If Ohio State did to Michigan what Michigan did to Ohio State, we wouldn't have this conversation because the conversation would be, well, Michigan is who we thought they were. Ohio State was 9-point favorites. Michigan didn't have their best running back. Ohio State was supposed to run up and down the field. It was a good competitive first half. It was a good third quarter.
Ohio State didn't have their best wide receiver. They didn't have but it doesn't matter because they still had themselves. They still have so many players. So you're right. There is no excuse. Ohio State should have showed up the way that they show up, and they didn't. And it's that simple because what happened was they got beat in the trenches, and that's pretty much what it is, man. That's the whole rivalry based on trenches.
And the sad thing about it is go back 2 weeks ago. Tennessee just had to beat South Carolina and Vanderbilt, and they were already going to be in. They were minus 240 to be in, and they got allowed Rattler to put up 63 on them. The next come into sliced bread, he finally woke up here. So, and then of course Clemson loses, so that helps. They're gone. And so the way the carnage has happened, Ohio State had it right in front of them. And if it was a close game with the Ohio State win or a close game with a Michigan win, I think you had a real good leg to stand on. And you kind of was hoping USC lost to Notre Dame because Ohio State already beat Notre Dame earlier in the year. So, hey, listen, we'll know tonight when the ESPN comes on with the show whether Ohio State's in front of Alabama. If they are, then if USC wins, they're in. They deserve it. Listen, Lincoln Riley, listen, he just jumps over to USC. He lost on a 2-point conversion at Utah. That was it. They have no defense, but they have a fun offense. And I think that would be hats off to Lincoln Riley and USC if they get to the Final Four as well.
Yep, and I know one thing, they better make a real schedule next year as well, too. You can't be bragging when you're beating Rice and Nevada and all these teams that just ain't good. You know what I mean? But it's all good. It's all good. All right, so Raiders, Chargers, this is a fun one. Raiders are feeling themselves again, and Chargers coming to town just in time. Chargers got their win this week, so they're going to get their loss this week. That's how it always works with the Chargers. I don't need to talk much about this one. I think these two teams, they absolutely hate each other, and when they play each other, it's always going to be a good game. Raiders did get the win last year in Vegas. I think they do get the win again this weekend in Vegas.
It's kind of comical, when we want to count the Raiders out. They get 2 walk-offs, both in OT 2 weeks ago. Devontae Adams this past week, Josh Jacobs. They're back home at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. The opening number was 1. It's now 2. I'm seeing 2.5 with the Chargers. A playback of that last game of the year. Both, if you tie, you're both in, and we know the history, what happened there. I took a swing with the Chargers on the money line. Listen, I would not be shocked if the Raiders won this game, but I'm going to ride the momentum, the hot hand here with Herbert. We'll take them just to win the game, Pops.
All right. So we move on, and we're going to get into this real quick. Bengals Chiefs. I'm doing something that I usually don't do, and I know Jeff can't get on me this week because I'm not going against his boy. You know what I mean? His idol, Mahomes. He swears this guy's Marino reborn. If Marino had a play caller like Andy Reid, he'd had 12 rings, though. Now everybody wants to start saying that on these talking head shows. It's the play caller. Yeah, I think it is because he didn't show. I'm telling you, if you got this guy, if he was on the Jaguars the last 6 years, he's out the league, man. Let's be honest. He's not getting away with. He's not doing that on the Jaguars, man. So
hey, don't hate him, will you? That's all he's done is a couple Super Bowl.
Hey, if everybody wants dog out greatness like LeBron, then I got Mahomes can get it too.
Listen, greatness is tough to come by. The GOAT. We're not calling him the GOAT.
He's talented though.
He is good. But Andy Reid is a big part of that. That was a good point on yours.
Yeah, he's good though, and I'm gonna go with him this week. Okay, Jeff, I'm gonna go with him. I'm not gonna dog him out. All right, he's good. But watch him lose. I'm gonna say McPhony. I'm gonna say McPhony if he loses. So it is what it is. And I'm doing this again to myself because I took him against the Bengals last year too.
You're twice. You're spot on. Trust the opening number. He comes in 2.5 point favorites. It's down to 2, under over 52. It's going to be a fun one at 420. I followed your lead and took the Chiefs money line. Listen, would I be shocked if the Bengals won? Hell no. Chase will be back. It's going to be a fun game. Last man with the ball probably wins this one. Does it go to OT? Maybe. Who knows? I like the Chiefs in a high-scoring affair.
All right, let's go ahead and get real quick here because we just got Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We have a funny one here, the one that I've mentioned 4 times already, and that's going to be the Cowboys and the Colts. So I'm going to be real quick here, and we got these two. It's a big spread here, and let's just be fair here. +10 to the Colts, even though the Cowboys have been able to cover these double-digit spreads all season. We'll say +10 to the Colts. Let's spice it up a little bit.
I went the other way. We bought the hook. Cowboys -9.5. Would I be shocked if it's a 7-point game? No, I wouldn't. Obviously, I mean they allowed the Giants the backdoor cover on Thanksgiving, a couple extra days rest. I think Dallas is starting to round back into form. Let's just see what happens here. We'll see where OBJ decides to wake up and go as well. Listen, and you were spot on too. Listen, a guy's passed out and drunk. I don't need him. I don't need the headaches. Have someone else take them. But we'll take the Cowboys by the hook -9.5.
Right, and we could talk about OBJ all day too. I said I don't know. I have never seen a guy that this careless and this reckless be considered a top free agent. You know what I mean? Like. Dude, like when T.O. and them was looking for deals and all that stuff, Randy Moss, they were still in shape and they weren't doing extra stuff off the field. I don't trust that. I don't want to give you $5 million a year. I don't want to do any of that. Go be an Instagram star. You know what I mean? But Jerry be dumb enough to go ahead and do it, though. We both know this. Jerry's dumb enough to Jerry just likes splashes. Jerry likes to be in the news all the time. But if he does this, he will ruin that whole locker room. I guarantee it. So let him just go play for the Texans. They'll get him out of here quick. Send the Masuses in. All right, this is easy. Bucs -190 on Monday Night Football. They need this win. They're gonna want this win. I can't do anything with the Saints right now, Jeff. It's that simple, and I don't need to even talk that much because I just can't do nothing with the Saints right now. Even though they've owned the Bucs and they've owned them in Tampa Bay as well too. I just can't do nothing with them, Jeff. I just the Bucs are going to win this game because they can't lose. It's that simple because they're in a position now where this is the worst record Tom Brady has ever had at this point in the season, and I think he wants to get better. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But I keep it real with you. He got to go because I don't want to see Bowles get fired for Tom Brady. Tom Brady has to go because his time is up.
I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes, never mind the divorce and everything. He was
Right.
2-0 before, after the divorce was announced. Hey, listen, they should have won the game. They just, again, you allow teams to hang around in any sport, and you're looking for trouble, and that's what happened there. We for no rhyme or reason, I think the Bucs win. We're taking the Saints +4, and there's another team that's up to no good. You know, Turf Toe Thomas, a bunch of other guys hurt, not playing the rest of the year, and there's some funny business going on. There is no reason Andy Dalton should be starting over Jameis Winston. I think we'll get the real story after this season is over and Jameis is looking for a new place to play. We took the Saints +4. The total in that game is opened at 40. We'll go 23-20 Bucs, but we're taking the Saints plus the 4 pops.
And would you state that Dennis Allen could possibly be on the firing line as well too?
If someone came in better, but at this point, no. They need to solidify the quarterback. They need to get Taysom Hill the hell out of Dodge. Michael Thomas, thanks. Move on. You got Olave. Alvin Kamara, move him. You got to start fresh. These guys are a lot of miles on the tires. They don't want to play their divas. It's time to shake up the whole place and start over.
All right. Well, there it is. I can't keep them too much longer, man. And we had to speed through it a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm going to let him get to the DMV as fast as he can. Hopefully not too fast, Jeff, but you'll make it. All right. So once again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today for week 13 of the NFL. We'll be back next Tuesday at the same time, same bad hour. And you guys make sure to tune in. Make sure you retweet, share, whatever you got to do. You guys know where to follow us at East Coast Sports Investors, or you can follow me at the DiBiase, at Pop DiBiase or the DiBiase Wave. So you guys have a beautiful day, and we'll see you next week. And this is the NFL Bet Exchange, and we are out of here. Damn it.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are